We're
We're
live!
Hello, everyone! We are live, and we are discussing The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. It is our August Diversity Readers Book Club pick of the month. I am so excited to be discussing this book with you guys. We'll be discussing the movie adaptation. We'll be talking about the book. We'll be getting to spoilers. It's going to be a lot of fun. So I'm going to give you guys a few seconds to join in, and then I'm gonna tweet, and it's gonna be fun. So you can ask questions using the hashtag #ThugLiveshow, just because that was an easy enough hashtag that nobody was using, so all the questions could be like filtered through there. So there's that. Ask your questions, join in. It's gonna be lots of fun. So if you want to talk about your initial thoughts, Emily, like what you thought of the book and good stuff like that.
Well, so I don't have it with me, so I can't reference it, but it's somewhere in my pile of books. Anyway, just quick introduction. Hi, if you haven't been to our live show before, I'm Emily from the channel The Nerdiest Bookworm. I'll post my link in the description once this is over, so there's your responsibility, Abby.
Yeah, I think it's already in the description. I usually put everyone's YouTube links in the description right away, but it's there.
But overall, this book was so amazing. Like it dealt with real life topics. We'll get that in detail into it in a second, but it dealt with real life topics. It made lots of real cough Harry Potter amazing. And like it didn't just deal with the Black community. Like it was just racism in general.
Yeah, which is important
because we had a Star and her friends. One of her friends, who was Asian. And her other friend, like, who was being racist towards her. But I'm very surprised by the one character, Chris, his boyfriend, and we'll talk about him in a little bit. But overall, our book, it was absolutely fabulous, and let's get into detail. Your thoughts, Gabby? Go.
Okay, my thoughts. So this book was phenomenal. This is, I definitely think, like the book of the year, the one that like everyone's going to be talking about all throughout the year, just because it's so powerful and deals with such important subject matter. So I love that. I love the issues that it deals with and the topics that it confronts, and also how the book itself just flows really nicely. Like you're just reading it and you just get immersed into it. The characters are very easy to connect to and relate to, and the story itself is just so important. And I feel like the subject matter, the things that are being discussed, are something that a lot of teens need to be educated on. And it's great to get this different perspective, because a lot of times when you hear about the Black Lives Matter movement, it's all through the media. And so you're not able to really get a genuine perspective of what it's like as an African-American person to go through this and to be able to experience it, and especially like a friend or a relative. So it's really interesting to get that perspective and have it in a really nice and raw and unfiltered way. So I enjoyed that about the book. And I just feel like in general, it was just a really important read and just a lot of fun to read. There's also High School Musical references in here, which I was living for, because that was my like entire childhood. So I love the fact that that was a part of the story, and just like all the different things like in this book that I just really wasn't expecting, like culture references, things like that I just didn't anticipate to be in this book as well. And also the cast for the movie is phenomenal. So I'm really excited to get to see it on the screen. I think they're going to do a really great job at depicting this, putting it on the screen, and getting to really tell an important story. I'm excited about it. It's really, really awesome. I just love it. And the cover itself is gorgeous too. Like, look at that. You have like the white here and then the black in the back. I just cover.
The first thing
is gorgeous too.
I was about to, like literally 3 pages before it said, it talked about like the hate you give. And I was like, wait, the hate you give, it spells out thug. And then 3 pages later, it was like, oh, I want to say something. And Star were talking about it, how like Tupac made it that the hate you give, F's little infant. And I was like, whoa, it spelled that was really creative and good idea. I thought it was just an amazing title.
Because it was really cool, because one of the things that was great about this book is before I read it, I got to meet Angie Thomas at a book signing that she did at Anderson's. I saw that she was going to be in the area. She was there with Becky Albertalli, and immediately I was like, I want to hit this up as one of my last that I do this summer, just because it's 2 really great authors that I've been wanting to read from. Everyone's been talking about this book, and we had decided that we were going to be reading this book already, so I figured it would be really convenient. So I got to get this signed and meet her before I went into it. So I got to hear her talk a little bit about the book and some of the really important issues and subject matter in it. And one of the really great things that she talks about is she mentions Star's father and his rose garden that he has, or all of his flowers, and the symbolism from it, which I feel like not a lot of people would notice when they're reading the book. But one of the cool things that Angie Thomas did is that the flower garden basically is meant to represent like Star and her family and some of the things that they're going through. So when the garden wilts, that's sort of like a foreshadowing that Star is going to be going through like a rough period or something bad's going to happen. And that when the garden starts to grow and thrive, it's like her having hope for the future and things like that. And she explained that symbolism while we were at the signing. And I thought that was really cool to get to hear, because I feel like that's something that you could miss really easily. And there's just a lot of like, depth and things that are put into this book. And it was cool to get to be able to meet Angie Thomas, because she was just really phenomenal and really laid back and just one of those like really cool authors where they feel like genuine human beings rather than like some sort of celebrity. And like the success that this book has gained is momentous. So obviously it could be very easy for her to have some sort of elevated status or act like more than she is, but she is just a human being. And she wrote this book because she is someone who's just like came from almost nowhere, but wrote a story because it was something that was important to her. And like, then a whole bunch of good things came from it. And I think that that's really cool, rather than just like a JK Rowling story, something like that, where you like, she works her way up towards that. She like gains, you know, that status. She put in the effort. And being a diverse author too in a diverse book, it's great. I love this.
Yeah, honestly, this I like can't stop saying anything.
It's phenomenal.
This book. But so we start off the story like immediately. I was like, when we met Kale.
It's Khalil, I think, maybe.
I don't know how to say exactly how to say his name, so I apologize for mispronouncing things.
Maybe Khalil.
It's Kale. I thought I was gonna have to like start shipping the two of them, but then when they were driving on the when they were driving and they pulled him over, and when he was shot, heart hurts. Oh,
yeah, I mean, I like that's one of the things though, is that that's like the plot of the book. So I figured that he wasn't going to be like in the story for that long, but I was interested to see, because I'm thinking about the movie adaptation too when I was going in and reading this, is how they're going to put it together, because I would feel bad that they cast someone to play Khalil and then just like only have him in like the very beginning. I feel like there may be flashbacks or other things that they possibly do to keep his character relevant, because they talk about him, like some of the things that they find out about what he was doing, like drug dealing, things like that, getting into his background a little bit. I feel like there's ways that they could encapsulate that actor's character a little bit more so that he is more present within the story, just to make it like a little bit more balanced, other than just having him like in like the first like maybe like 10 or 15 minutes in the movie. So I'll be interested to see how they do that, or how they like put everything together, what they decide to cut.
But I thought it was really cool when they
Yeah, go ahead.
But Angie's timeline was that hold on. It was that auditions, send in your tapes quickly to audition for him, and I thought that was really cool. How like it was like open to everyone and not just like Hollywood fame area. It was like open to like the public, kind of.
Yeah, that they had open auditions. I think that's really cool. And especially, I think one of the things that's great about that is that it really helps like diverse teenagers, like anyone who's acting or in theater who has a passion for that, that can, you know, pursue that. Because I mean, obviously, yes, you're going to have a high budget cast for a movie like this, and you want to have like big stars people are going to draw. But I think that's cool that they still had that, and that you were given the opportunity. I think that that's great, because a lot of movies don't do that, especially under the YA genre, because they just look for like all-star budget casts.
Yeah.
So I thought that was great.
Let's see. Immediately. The whole story. I want to talk about Chris real quick, just so I can get him out of the way. At first, I thought he was going to be this stuck-up white boy, that he was going to be a piece of trash.
Yeah, that's what I would have thought.
Like I was just ready to hate. Immediately, we get a text from him, and it's like, "Hey, I'm so sorry. Like, please forgive me." Because I was like, "Did he do something really stupid?" And it's just like that issue was resolved. And Chris, it was so adorable. And and then we bring into the fact. What were you saying?
No, I was saying that I agree with you, that I like his character, and I like how that played out.
But I thought that their relationship brought into inter-race relationships, and how her father was really like angry and upset about that. and it was like definitely like not just the Black Lives Matter movement necessarily, like that brought in another aspect of like how people don't accept everyone, and that I just loved him. And then Seven, let's talk about Seven. What's your thoughts on Seven?
Yes. I loved all the characters in this book, honestly, because I feel like they're just so relatable and so genuine, and you can really just get close to them and their story and the things that they're going through because they're just entirely human. And I think that's the great thing about this book is that with that, it kind of just shows like the flaws and different things in society, but it doesn't necessarily shame any particular group or anything. Like it's not like all white people are racist because you have a character like Chris who's white, who is supportive of Black people, and then you have a character like Haley who is more of a racist. And you have an equal balance in showing that it's just more a person and their point of view and the decisions they're able to make rather than condoning one specific skin color or one group. Because it's not like this was a Black Lives Matter book that was trying to like shun all white people and be like all white people are bad because of the fact that there's been, things and issues that have happened there. It was just saying genuinely that it has to be you as a person. You have to have a certain mindset and make a decision about how you're going to stand on some of these issues. And it can be really easy to just be supportive of people as you would be supportive of any human being. And I liked how that was brought into the story rather than, throwing blame at all. It was just like a discussion. And I liked that, we were able to just, have that message because it can be very easy to have it go other ways or get missed.
But I like feel like we're jumping everywhere, but like the Harry Potter references, like let's go into that and like sort them into Harry Potter houses because boy, I have my list ready. This absolutely, it's canon. It's Star and who else? It was Star and someone else that they're Slytherin. Was it Cleo? Was it him?
Maybe. Let me see if I can find.
It's either Seven or him. Because I know for a fact it was canon that they were like fighting over a Slytherin blanket or something like that.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know that it was. I just remember that scene. And it was great. Yeah, I definitely see her in like overall her character development was amazing. Like it was but as for other characters in Hogwarts houses, I would definitely say Chris is in Hufflepuff because like having saw his loyalty, man. And what's her name? What's Star's non-sister name? Oh my goodness.
1 second.
Is it?
I had the cast list up. I think it's. Oh God, I feel so horrible for not being able to pronounce any of these names. Riley can't pronounce a lot of people's names. Denasia, I believe, or Denasia. Yeah, maybe.
Denasia. Yeah, we also got a lot of character development from her too. From just calling her calling Seven her brother, she started to call him our brother. Yes.
Yeah, I liked that.
So what would you place her in? Like, I can't decide. I feel like she's very like, I feel like she could be Gryffindor, but like.
That's what I was gonna kind of say too. That's what I was thinking is maybe Gryffindor, because.
Yeah. I think who else would we say is other houses? I think it would be like Ravenclaw. I feel like he's very logical and very smart, like as in their situation.
Yeah.
Like he helped them out a lot, and then like pointing out things like. Also with Uncle Carlos, I felt like I was gonna hate him a lot. Like I don't know, but then
I wasn't sure. That's the thing is I feel like a lot of the characters you meet them and you're not entirely sure where you're gonna lie, and then you pan out. You get to really see everyone develop and grow, and it's good stuff.
I can't remember any of the names because I read it so long ago. Not so long ago, but D someone D.
I feel like I'm like have the book with me and I'm like paging.
Oh no, why am I coming to? And G. And Angie Thomas. Dimitri, but it's definitely not Dimitri. It's 500.
Yeah, I'm like looking through the book. Let's talk about
Nope.
maybe her friends,
Nope.
like Haley and.
I don't know his name. Let's.
While you're looking for that, oh, Devante. Is that it? Devante? I just literally flipped open to one of the pages and his character is on there. I think it's Devante, right? He's the one that they take in.
That's the yeah. What was I saying again? Oh, about him, like how we met him on the like he was like into the drug dealing and stuff like that. But then like he got Big Maeve up at their shop, and I love their shop. Their shop was so adorable, and I love the character development from the character development and all these. Even though he was an adult, like you saw his when he was like a teenager, how he was into the gang stuff, but then he left it for his family, and then him accepting her Stars and Chris relationship, and it was great. So, what are your thoughts? His left.
Talking about Hogwarts House is still looking through some of the characters. Her one friend Haley.
Oh yes.
I
don't know. Haley, she was the mean girl. She was like racist. She was just terrible, but definitely not Hufflepuff. Rule out Hufflepuff.
Because it's not like she's very bright. Oh no. But like, in fact, that like she has a certain like logical mind of thinking for why she does what she does, and you know, she doesn't necessarily understand or see like the other viewpoint because she's so sort of set in on her own. I feel like Ravenclaws may be that way because they're so smart and so analytical. I probably think they're right a lot of the time because the fact that they're supposed to be like brighter and more intelligent. So I could see that maybe.
I think that's really I now I've heard your argument. I'd say she's definitely going Ravenclaw because like she her reasoning behind everything, and it was just, she may not be like book smart, but like she's her smart.
Like the logic.
Yeah. And sorry, my sister just ran in my room.
You're fine.
Oh my God, Avery, please go away. They deserve it. Anyway, but anyway, so what else we're doing? But Star's mom, she was, I'd say Hufflepuff because she was like very loyal
and supportive of her.
Yeah, she. Guys, I'm in the middle of something. Go away. Go away.
Watching TV.
Goodness, my sisters. But she was like Hufflepuff because she oh my goodness, they don't leave. Oh my goodness, I put a do not disturb sign up. Anyway, so I'm gonna stop, Gabby. Hello. Go away, please, go away. Guys, go away. Guys, go away, please. Anyway, sorry, I finally got them gone.
You're fine.
I swear if they're back again. Okay. God, please.
Okay. And while she handles that, no, because you're fine. Take your time. No rush.
I tell people that I'm doing this at the moment, but family privacy is not a thing. But anyway,
I feel you.
Character development. Overall, every single one of the characters had major character developments. Like Star, she started off with like, she like started off with like being anonymous. And like then she was like in riots at the end of this book, and she was speaking up loud, and I was like, yes, Star, you go, Star.
Yeah, I thought that was really great because I feel like it really shows her progression as a person, because she's pretty much has a little bit of what I feel like is an identity crisis in a way, where she feels like she has to have two separate lives, and it's kind of her learning to merge the two and being able to be comfortable in her own skin and be able to feel like she can bring a part of that to more of her like wealthy suburban white school and be able to, in a way, like accept that part of herself and be able to then, you know, because of that, able to speak out on these issues and feel comfortable talking about it and having those sort of conversations. And I think that's really important, because if she's able to do that in as cool as she is, she could get other people to sort of have the discussions. Because one of the things that I feel like I really liked in this book, or I was surprised to sort of see discussed, was this moment where when Khalil is killed and Star is at her school and a whole bunch of kids start this protest pretty much just to get out of classes.
Oh, yes.
That I feel like was really interesting, because that seems like something that would be so realistic that teenagers or high school students would just do that because they want to get out of classes, but they're not actually supportive of the issue. And her actually having known him be like one of her lifelong friends and now having to like deal with this, it just sort of really was a big, I feel like, moment for her and for her character and everything, to sort of see like this is the school that she's in and these are the people that, you know, she has to surround herself with. And so how does that sort of determine how she wants to deal with herself? And I think that puts a little bit of a hill in the road, but she's able to, like, you know, work past that, and she's able to deal with some of those things. And I like how Star and her other friend,
Lisa, I want to say her name is.
What is why? I don't know why. I'm like, I'm so horrible. I'm doing a live show. I should know the names of her other friend, because it's Haley, and then there's I don't feel like they've casted her other friend yet. 1 second.
Who's Lisa then? Because Lisa's a.
I think Lisa's the mom. Yeah.
Yeah. This is terrible. But while Gabby's looking up Lisa, not Lisa, the name, no, I was looking up the name. So, overall, I thought I thought it was cool how it didn't just black skin color racism. There was also the Asian one where Haley was like to and hey, eat cats on Thanksgiving, and I thought that was like so rude. It was just, yeah, that's part of their culture, but at the same time, Asian, she may not. I don't. Did she say they say she was Asian, or did they say she was Chinese or Japanese? I think they said she was Chinese.
Yeah, I think so.
Not everybody from that.
Okay, and I found the name of the friend, Maya. Maya is her name.
Okay, what's her name?
Maya.
Maya. Oh, yes, yes, Maya.
Maya with a Y. I don't think they've casted her character yet, or maybe they cut her. I feel like it would be bad if they cut her character, because her character is kind of important.
Yes, like if they cut anyone, I mean, if they cut anyone from this movie, I'm going to be so upset and so disappointed.
Yeah, because I feel like most of the characters are all really important. They add a lot to the story, each individual one, and that's one of the reasons why they all get such great development, because they're all so important to the story that's being told.
Like, you can't cut one single character out of the story, or it is not going to be the story that Angie Thomas told.
Right, I think that's important, because it's not a type of story where it's like there's minor characters that are insignificant. Every single character has a certain journey and things that they go through that adds to Star's overall journey, you know, as the main character. So there's that. But yeah, I like how her and Maya sort of formed a friendship. How Star and Maya formed a friendship throughout all of this, and how they're able to talk and she's able to come to her. One of the scenes I also thought was really fun was this party that's at the end of the book, and they're all together and they're like dancing and they're like being like an embarrassing family, because that just felt entirely normal. Oh, yeah. Because you could see that in your own family too, and it doesn't matter like what the skin color is, it's just like a normal family. So it really helps you to connect with them a little bit more and be able to just sort of have this
speaking of the party.
Yeah, keep going.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of the party, is Lisa Seven's mom or she?
She's
now that I'm thinking about
she's Star's mom, I think.
Yes, but anyway, I forget Seven's mom, but that whole situation where when they were gonna be goodness, when Seven's dad King, that was his name. When King was going to one names gonna beat up, and so they brought not Stars. Seven's mom snuck them out of the house before King could see, and that was like a really character development.
Yeah, Aisha's too. Character is Seven's mom.
They described her. Mm-hmm. Aisha, yes.
Because it's Aisha's the mom and King is the dad, and then Seven, Lyric, and Kenya, I believe, are the three kids.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And then Maverick is Seven's father. Yes. Mm-hmm. And
yes.
Then Star is the half sister of Seven and is Lisa and Maverick's daughter. And then they have Sakani, who is their younger brother.
Little son.
Yeah.
Yes, but
just explain that for anyone who was lost because we sort of were.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Anyway, so do you want to talk about the movie a little bit, the cast?
Yeah, so let's announce the cast, talk about everyone for those who haven't heard. The Hate U Give is being adapted into a movie, and it just started filming, I believe, this week. So that's really, really exciting, and I'm excited to get to see more trailers or to see where everything goes. We have a cast that's announced, so I'm just going to start. If you want, I can read off some of the names, let you guys know some of the big people who are in this adaptation. So Amanda Steinberg is playing Star, and that was one of the very early cast announcements that we got right in the very beginning of the development for this movie. They announced Star right away. I think before even the book was out, they made that call because the movie rights for the book were picked up before the book was even out, which I thought was really interesting, but it shows just how powerful the story was. So Amanda Steinberg will be playing Star, our lead character. Regina Hall, who was just most recently in Girls Trip, which came out, I believe, sometime this year in the past few months, and that's been doing really well. She was in some of the scary movies. She's playing April. She's playing Lisa Carter, and that's Star's mom. Then Issa Rae is playing April Ofra, who is the woman that is sort of the head of this entire rebellion and sort of the representation for Star, and she goes in to deal with Sakani's trial, or goes in to deal with Khalil's trial, the investigation behind his murder. So Issa Rae was in let's see what you guys would recognize. She's been in a few things, but I think she's done a little bit more stuff as a producer than I feel like she has as an actor, but she's been around. Sabrina Carpenter is playing Haley. Sabrina Carpenter was in Girl Meets World. She was in Adventures of a Baby Sitting. She's more of a Disney star. I love Sabrina Carpenter, so I was really, really excited to hear about that casting announcement. So it's good stuff. Raven Simone Farrell is Denasia. What has she been in? She's been in quite a few movies. I'll leave the Wikipedia page or the IMDb page. I'm sorry, my words. I'm just fumbling all of them. To the Hate U Give cast list if you guys want to check it out. Common is in the movie. He's playing Uncle Carlos. Kian Lawley was cast as Chris. Russell Ornsby is playing Maverick. Lamar Johnson is Seven. TJ Wright is Sakani. Who else did we find out recently that got casted? Let's see. But it's a really good cast list. They definitely have a lot of all-star people, and I'm really excited to see what all of them do.
Yes, I think firstly around Amanda becoming star, like how she was like she was the only person of color in YA novels like her, but like even with the controversy, she's such an amazing actress. Like it's I can't wait to see. She's gonna portray Star so amazingly. She's gonna show Stars and what like her struggles and her character development, and I can't wait to see her as Star.
Yeah. The one thing I think about Amanda that's so great is that they've pretty much taken over the scene in YA, and they've been in pretty much like every single YA movie adaptation that's been coming out recently. Amanda's in Everything in The Darkest Minds, which starting to, I believe, wrapped up relatively recently, and now The Hate You Give and The Hunger Games. So she's been they have been in the YA spectrum for quite a long time, and so I think that they definitely have the experience as a performer to be able to play a role like this. Mm-hmm. I definitely think it's something that's very fit for Amanda. So I'm really excited to get to see her play this role because I think that it's going to be a phenomenal performance, and I definitely think that Amanda's definitely going to add a lot of power to the role, and it's going to be a really, really inspiring thing to see on screen.
Yes.
Another character I'm really excited about really quickly that I want to talk about is Sabrina Carpenter is Haley. I love Sabrina Carpenter because I like Boy Meets World was like my thing. And so Girl Meets World, like I loved that show, and I'm so bitter that it got canceled because it was such a good show, but I'm really excited to get to see her as Haley. I think she's going to do a really great job. I love, not only her music, but just her as a person. She's incredibly sweet. I got to actually see a taping of Girl Meets World and meet Sabrina Carpenter very, very, very briefly, but it was an awesome experience, and so I'm really, really excited to get to see Sabrina on screen. I was so hyped when I found out about that, so that was fun. But Common and is another one I was really excited about because I think he's going to add a lot to the film. Is Uncle Carlos. That's one I'm pumped about.
Common. Yes, Common. I actually got to not meet Common when I saw Hamilton. He was literally sitting right behind me, and I'll try to post the Instagram on my the picture on my Instagram story is over, but the picture is him turning his head, so you really can't see it. Because at the time I didn't know who he was, because after the show when he left, everyone told the person who was helping us told us that was Common behind us, and so I took a picture almost taking a selfie kind of, and so it was like. I was like, oh my God, I sort of kind of met Common. It's like, oh my God, it's crazy.
Yeah. I, as a Chicagoan, have a lot of respect for Common, and I was like really excited to have some Chicago representation in this movie. So I'm really pumped about that. And you have a lot of really good cast. You have new actors too that I feel like you haven't really seen. I feel like Lamar Johnson, who's playing Seven, I feel like I haven't really seen a lot from him. And I feel like he's potentially a newer actor. Algie Smith, who is playing Khalil, I feel like is a newer actor. So you have like some stars, but you have some newer people that you're bringing to the scene. So I definitely think that it's a very balanced spectrum. So I'm excited about that.
Yes. Lolly, but I started on what's his face? Started on many YouTube YouTube produced series, so you can tell he can act, but he has a different background of acting than all these other stars do.
I don't know how I feel about that casting. I think it's interesting because I got announced and I was like, because I just feel like I didn't picture Chris at all necessarily in The Look of Key and Law. That's nothing against him because I really haven't seen that much that he's been in. I know his name and I heard about him, but I haven't specifically really watched much that he's been in, so I don't necessarily know. So I'm interested to see what he does, but I don't entirely know how that's gonna go. Like, I'm a little bit more iffy about it, but I'm excited to see the role that he plays. So for those of you that are tuning in and want to ask questions, we will answer them. You can use the hashtag that's listed in the URL. I have it in the description, and then okay. So let's look at some question. Okay. Okay.
Oh, wait,
hi. Okay. So I just want to say Sarah Night Owl is watching us. So thank you, Sarah, for watching. Yeah. I know she always watches a lot of our live shows. So I was looking at some of her comments in the live chat now. And so thank you for saying that I'm doing a good job leading live show.
Yes, but anyway, just real quick, back to Kane Lolly. I'm just, while you're like looking through questions and stuff, I'm like, Kane Lolly, like, I can picture him as Chris. Like, I feel like he could do a good job. Like, now that I think about it, like, he kind of reminds me of Chris, but like, I kind of imagine Chris as this totally different person. Like, I don't know. It's just interesting.
Yeah, because I feel like that's the thing, is a lot of times you're kind of sketchy on people that get casted in movie adaptations or book or like television adaptations of a book, you know, whatever. And those are end up being the people that I feel like end up surprising you the most, because you really don't know what to expect from them. Because that's definitely how I felt about Shadowhunters a little bit, because Alberto Rosende was one of those like newer actors that got casted. Nobody really ever heard of him, and now he was one of the better actors on the show. And some of like the more leading actors that people heard of, I wasn't too impressed by. So I definitely think that, you know, just because you're a star or you have like a name to yourself doesn't necessarily like qualify how like successful you're going to be or how strong your performance is going to be.
Sarah Night Owl just asked, so our characters know how it has. We kind of totally have definite like, it's like, R was in Slytherin because that's canon, which is amazing.
Yeah. We said Haley was going to be Ravenclaw.
Yes. We also said someone, Lisa was in Ravenclaw, I think.
Yeah.
No, Hufflepuff.
Yeah, Hufflepuff.
And then
did we say Maverick? I feel like Maverick.
I don't think we did it.
I feel like he could maybe be, in a way.
I say Slytherin.
Yeah, I want to say like Gryffindor. Like, I feel like he's courageous and like standing up for his family and like you know, being there to support them, like taking the time in prison, like doing what he did, finding out more about his backstory. I feel like he could be a Gryffindor in a way.
But then Slytherin, like he was very like when he was like at this gang, like he was very ambitious and trying to get everything done and.
So he's a Slytherin. I feel like he could fit into both.
Who else did we have? Seven. It was either Seven or someone else was in Slytherin. That was canon. Can't remember exactly.
Yeah, it's in the book though. If you read it, they discuss the Hogwarts houses, which is great. I loved like all of those references to culture and stuff. I will never get over the High School Musical references. Like I started like doing a little sing along, and I was like, "This is great." Because I love High School Musical. I grew up on that. And so that was really exciting to get to read because I just wasn't expecting it at all. Especially from Angie Thomas, because like High School Musical, like, so I feel like my generation or people like a little bit older than me potentially. So it was weird to see like an adult author be like High School Musical reference, because like how many times would you ever see that trapped in a young adult novel? And so I just really, really appreciated that. All right. So if you had to choose a song to represent the whole feel of The Hate U Give, what song would you choose and why? That's the next question from Sarah.
Get your head in the game. Get your head in the game.
Because she makes the High School Musical references. But to be like, serious about it. Actually, you want to know what? Because I watched the show recently. This is what I'm trying to do. Just like every time that I get into a new Broadway show, I'm just going to mention it here. The World Will Know from Newsies. That song, because I feel like it's really defiant and really like power hungry, and it's sort of like the journey that Star goes through, where Newsies, like all of them, they're fighting because they want equal rights, they want equal pay, and they want people to hear about it, and they want people to acknowledge, you know, what it is that's going on and have like that conversation, have that discussion. They want to start a movement, and that's kind of what this entire book is about. And the song just has that entire vibe of like putting your fist into the air and stomping your feet and just like really just getting into it. And Jeremy Jordan's voice, like some of like the final minute of that song is just gold. So that song for me is one in particular, just because it has that very defiant vibe that I feel like is very representative of the Hate You Give.
But anyway, I think a song I was going to play about, Thumbs by Sabrina Carpenter, just for the scene in the school where they were having the protest and like everyone was going around with it. And there's some thumbs, like she's just like, everybody's just going with what everybody else is going, like what everybody else is doing. They're not like doing their own thing, like they're just in the same routine.
And that could potentially be, I feel like, in the movie, if she's actually, you know, in it, like that they would maybe want to have her in like a recording for the movie. So that's something we may potentially see. I really didn't think about that until now, so who knows?
Yes. What if it, oh wait, hold on.
If it can't be from a musical
or soundtrack.
That's hard. Like that's all I listen to. I'm just so boring. Let's see.
Okay.
Oh my god. Do I even listen?
I don't honestly the same. Like what's okay. Soundtrack right now. This is
maybe like this is really random, but I'm literally just looking through like what songs do I listen to. I listen to Charlie Puth because I don't know why. I just like his songs.
Oh, yes.
I feel like one potentially Attention. Like I feel like with the fact like the media, like the way that the sort of the story gets curbed and some of like the issues that go into this entire sort of trial and things that happen with Khalil, Attention could be a song that potentially works because a lot of people are like trying to manipulate the story. Like there's that one moment where they have the television story that's the father and the father of the cop who shoots Khalil, like his point of view, him telling the story on the news and the media. That feels very like Attention to me. Although it's not like a romance song, but like the, you know, the general like message of it. Because I genuinely don't listen to anything else besides Broadway because I just have stopped. I'm trying to look at other songs.
I also have I use this in my biannual Bibliothon Day 7 when I quiz all these characters numerically because like I feel like that's very empowering, like how these people are changing like the world almost, like message I get from that song, like the numeric are these people changing the world. And so I thought that kind of went along with it.
There's Nothing Holding Me Back too by Shawn Mendes could be another one for like Star, because she is sort of like at that moment when she like reaches her climax as a character and decides to just go for things and like speak her mind and not have that fear that she is not really being held back anymore. I don't know. I'm literally just like looking at songs that I've listened to, and
I surprisingly I surprisingly have another one by from this town. This would be for Town by Horn because like even it's not good. They have the opportunity to move, and which they do at the end of the book. They do move because even though they live in the ghetto, they Star and Seven go to the school, the private school. But for this town, like I just like I'm thinking like songs like this town, like he always is going to go back to that store in that town, and like that's his roots, and so I feel like that'd be a good song for him.
Yeah, I feel like we covered a lot. We have like basically just created like the entire soundtrack for the movie in like different ways, shapes, or forms, and lots of different songs. So I think shows sort of the diversity of the book itself, and that like you're able to have Broadway songs that fit into this book and like movies and things.
But for the book, I'm gonna go back to that real quick. It was when they moved, like that moment where Big Mav said they couldn't move, like, and then they Lisa and Big Mav went off to the bedroom. I was just like, I wonder what's gonna happen. Let's hope there's not another child. Like that kind of. It was kind of funny, like Seven, but their little brother was just like, "What?" That was so adorable. But when they did move, I felt like that was another character development for Big Mav. Like this book is just
to sacrifice
it's so
them.
relatable. Not necessarily relatable, but like you connect with the characters. The character development, like you really, even though it's taking place like in this short character within each, it's such a phenomenal book. Confide a personal secret to any character, including main character. Who would you choose to confide it to?
Ooh.
Hard. First person that Chris so much.
Yeah, I feel
how much I love
my thought.
Chris.
Because I feel like
Chris, like at first, like I thought he was gonna be stereotypical, like very annoying person that. But no, he turned out to be this amazing character who's so loyal to Star. It was fabulous.
Yeah.
So I for 7. I feel like they would be very loyal people. Any of the characters except Haley would be able to keep the secret. And
yeah. I feel like for me,
like
maybe
the younger ones.
Yeah, I feel like for me, maybe I would choose Lisa just because she's the mom and she's the one who feels like she's the most like resourceful. Like I feel like you can trust, an authority figure, and I feel like she's responsible. So I feel like she'd be a good person to like come to if you needed help. Because Star does, periodically throughout the book. So
yeah, but that moment where her mom is, when they said gun officer was scared for his life by this young teenage girl, this innocent teenage girl. He was scared just because and she held it was a hairbrush, wasn't it, that he thought that was a gun?
Yeah.
And trying to go see if Star was okay. I once poetry, and I always watch poetry, but there's this poem I remember. It was about interracial child, how her like, hey, keep your eye away. Unless you say no, say yes. Mom who was a white. The dad was black and the mom was white. Was like, hey, you're fine. The police officers are there meant to protect you, and so that kind of reminded me of.
Yeah. But I think that's one of the things that I also sort of liked about The Hate U Give, is that seeing sort of how the plot unfolded regarding Khalil is that it's not necessarily an entirely one-sided sort of viewpoint where, like, clearly, yes, the police officer should not have shot Khalil. Like, there's multiple things that sort of lead to that, but you can sort of, like, look at it both ways and be like, okay, if you were in the police officer's shoes, like, the boy, like, Khalil didn't even do anything. Like, what, his tail light was out or something? One of his headlights or things was out, right? That was why he got pulled over.
Yeah.
Well, it was, like, something really minor and anything. And clearly, like, a lot of his reasoning, like, really isn't entirely valid. But you could look at the fact that, like, if look at it and sort of see both sides, it doesn't feel like it's entirely, like, one-sided. That was one of the things I appreciated about it, is that, like, when you look at his background, some of the things, like, the more clear side, like, obvious side is that, no, he shouldn't have been shot. But, I mean, like, you can look at it and see, like, that he's not an entirely flawless character.
Yeah.
There were things sort of questioned and debate. And
how, like, they took this, and we talk about Star's, like, lawyer, that the person who was in charge of I can't remember the program's name, but anyway, like, I'm with the police officer. They were just keep hearing echo, but they took. This is in real life. In cases like this in real life, they say he was scared for his life. They thought this hairbrush was a gun. In reality, it was just a hairbrush.
Right.
Like, that kid on the couch, and it wasn't a real gun. And also there is it was just a bunch of things that this is real life. This is the excuse, and this is their attack. This is what they say, and most people, it's not right. It's not factual evidence. It's just their opinion. Like, they say families, like the other side of the matter is I can't say this, but they say the other side was just an opinion, but in reality, it was just the white guys, police officers, like what he thought was gonna happen.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. We have 3 more questions from Sarah Night Owl. First is who's most likely to fangirl over a musical with you?
Huh. I feel like, here's the thing. I think Angie Thomas herself isn't a Hamilton fan.
Yeah.
I feel like she's like, I thought that was one of the things that she said, that she like enjoys it, but it's not like her forte, like other authors are like really, really into it. So I wonder, like, I feel like because of that, I feel like there isn't a lot of characters that would potentially be into musicals in this book that I know of.
Mm-hmm.
Besides, like, maybe Star, Maya, and Haley, but like, I don't know. I wouldn't really want to be friends with Haley. But I'm thinking like more like of them, maybe. So then, next question: favorite quote and moment from the book. So favorite quote. I feel like there's one that. Do you have one?
Yeah, I don't have the book with me, but I think I marked it up, and I just remember it was Star said something. I think it was when speech. I'm looking up quotes now to see if I can. Speech was saying right before she threw the gas at the police officer's back. But I just remember feeling this one moment of like, whoa. I exactly remember the quotes, but it was just this moment of whoa.
There's moments, where you read things and you just felt it. Like that entire protest, I feel like everything. I'm at that scene right now because I'm flipping through the book.
Okay, let's see.
Right now, I'm at that scene.
Reads quotes. Okay. Ooh, this like I love all the things she says, but the first one that popped up was sometimes you can do everything right and things will still go wrong. The key is never to stop doing right. And I believe her mom said that. I sure, but it was just like a moment of this also happens. And then another one that popped up that I like kind of relate to. And now this is why people don't use their voices. Star says this, I think. What's the point of having a voice if you're gonna be silent in this moment you shouldn't be?
Yeah.
Star said that actually. But it was just.
And I think the big taglines from the book, like the one about the hate you give, I feel like is important because it really connects to the story. And looking at the scene where the entire protest is, they all shout like Khalil lived, and I feel like that's like really powerful. And everything, just like the entire book itself, there's a lot of really, really powerful moments. And I think that my favorite moment from the book, like, is that protest scene because you're able to see Star's character really evolve. And it's that moment where like everyone's really like just igniting. And I can't even imagine how powerful that's going to be on screen. Like you're going to have like a mob of extras and you're just going to have like, I can just vividly picture it. And so I think for me, I really liked that scene. I also liked the party scene together with all the family just because it felt very just relatable and very just honest and genuine because it made Star's family look like a regular normal family, like regardless of race, they're human just like all of us. So I liked that it sort of had that normalcy to it. So I liked that. There were a lot of really great moments in the book just because the book itself is just really something that you're able to connect to as a reader regardless of your background or where you come from because all the characters are just very human.
Yes.
So
I'm still flipping through quotes because there's so many perfect lines. It's one of them was just a hairbrush is not a gun. I feel like that was like I mentioned this, but like it was just like a wow moment. Like these things cops believe are guns. They're not. It could be a toothbrush. It could be a hot glue gun. It is like a hairbrush is not a gun. And then there's the quote that's right after it. It's funny how it works with white kids though. It's still to be black. But I just remembered the scene with Haley, with the Tumblr thing, how Star saw that Haley unfollowed her, and how Haley said that when she was reposting when the person died, how she was like reposting all these photos of him, and Haley said, "Ew, that's disgusting."
Yeah.
To me, like if you don't agree with the way Star thinks, don't be friends with Star. And I love when her mom is like, hey, when her mom was like, hey, if you don't think the friendship's worth it, let it go. Let Haley go. And I'm glad she does that.
And she talks about a whole bunch of examples about, like, why did you get into certain things? And they had, like, the Jonas Brothers in there, too. I totally forgot that Angie Thomas referenced that as well. So she talked about that because I had it open in the book while I was flipping through things and talking about how, like, she did all these things because of Haley and, like, following her to follow her, that she needs to sort of, like, take her own path and decide what's best for her in terms of, like, friendship and things like that.
Another. Do you think a spin-off book following different minor characters from this book would be good or no? Why? I feel like the book ended on a very good note. Like, I was very satisfied with this ending. Like, because it was just so good.
And I feel like the story itself is just so powerful.
It's like
there isn't really a good way that you could follow it up. Like, it's kind of like a lot of times like really iconic shows like Friends and How I Met Your Mother are two that come to mind because I've watched those, that are like such a phenomenon that then when you try to follow them up in any way at all, it just sort of crashes and burns. I know that they did that for Matt LeBlanc. They made a spin-off show called Joey and it had like 2 seasons and it just bombed horrendously because nothing will ever be like that original work. And I feel like that's definitely the very same thing as The Hate U Give. I think the movie adaptation's gonna be great and I think that that's perfect. But I feel like the world itself here, like it was explored, the message was sent, and I feel like there really isn't a lot left that you can explore with the characters because they've all made their mark. So
the way the ending where he was just like the fire and how they were all trapped inside, and after the fire, it was like oh, they did? I didn't know they had a criminal mind. Oh, I just got this topic. But they said Big Mav said, hey, we're gonna rebuild it, and then the barber next door says, hey, I want you to have my space. I want you to keep doing what you're doing, like giving these kids like an opportunity. I just want like I don't even if Angie Thomas was forced to write a spinoff, which I hope she isn't. I just want like little novellas about each of the characters, like how they're doing. Them going off to college. I want to see Isa and like if she left, what do you call it? If she left King and doing
like
if Stars and Chris relationships going strong. What I keep forgetting his name. Devante. If I would want a spin-off story about him. Like he is like I see him getting his acting, all that. Oh, now I remember what I was going to say. But the police reports, they said he was that Khalil was dealing drugs, and but in reality, and Khalil's funeral. But in reality, Khalil turned King down to join the gang. And the only reason he was selling drugs
was because of his mom.
His family financially stable.
And a lot of his mother. I think that's important because you don't have the context behind that. And that's one of the big things. So one of the reasons why I liked reading this book is because it provided that perspective. Because a lot of times when you hear these stories on the news, that's what you would hear and you wouldn't find out. But hey, there's an exception to this, but this isn't the entire story, and you're not going to really hear that from the media. So you're having lots of other people all across the world with these like bigger stories that become more national, that a lot of times you're missing information, and then people start to make judgments, but they don't know the entire story. And I think this book sort of really deals with that issue and kind of really briefly, in a way, sort of confronts those sort of things and allows that sort of perspective, because it feels like very typical to what you see in terms of Black Lives Matter movement and some of the shootings and things that have happened, that you never really know the entire story, and the media isn't going to be entirely honest with that. And you'll never really know unless you get to experience it. And so that's why you get to read through Star, and it's a really great thing that people have that, because
they always make the victim a bad guy.
Yeah, go on.
But anyway, they always make the victim seem like such a bad guy. Like they try to put the worst amount of blame possible you can to make it is not the other person, the white person, or the not necessarily white person, but the officer's fault, but they always want to make them seem as bad.
Yeah. And that's what they try to do, because I think that it just sort of then, if they can take someone who looks like they have a shady background, I mean, that happens all the time, like politics or like celebrities, whatever. If there's anything that's like in a profile, if they can use something against somebody to be able to spin a certain narrative, people are going to do it. So I think that it definitely feels very realistic, and I'm glad that that was brought into the story.
But also, I always get into a bunch of like, okay, but my dad's a police officer. I don't know if I mentioned this, but he's a police officer, and so we always get into these like little political fights. Like, I think one thing and then he thinks another, and so he's like, it's good to see the other side is bad. Like, some things he didn't agree with using like just a minimal excuse such as, well, this cop has arrested so many black people, but in reality there's only like black people in that community, whereas another cop has only arrested white people because there's only mainly white people in that community.
Right.
And I thought that was a viewpoint he made.
Yeah.
The whole thing, it's such an amazing book.
Yeah, it's really good. I know that the thing about it, though, is that, I mean, it is relatively long. It's only like 400, how many pages is it? 444 pages. Oh, and I like the ending. We were talking about quotes. I just flipped to the last page, and I was like, oh my God, this quote is really great. And it says, Khalil, I'll never forget. I'll never give up. I'll never be quiet. I promise. I feel like that's such a powerful ending.
Yes.
And I read that, and I was just like, that sums up the story perfectly. Because it's just in like what Entirely's about is not forgetting, using that, remembering, and using that to influence the future and how you're going to. I'm
getting emotional.
Yeah, watching the movie. But I think too, do you think that they're going to include, and I would hope that they would, because it is an important part of starting her background, her experience with Natasha, that she watched her friend get shot at a very young age in a drive-by shooting?
Oh yes,
I remember that.
I almost forgot about her other friend Natasha.
Yeah,
I'm just getting like, yeah, I'm just getting very emotional just like remembering this. Like, I like feel my eyes starting to tear up because this was such a powerful book.
Yeah,
it moved me in many ways. I like, whenever I read a book about the white lies. Oh my God, I'm so sorry I said that. I apologize. But it's something about the Black Lives Matter movement. It always opens up my eyes even more because I am white, if you can't tell. I'm so white, and I know I'm very privileged in when to see people that go through this. I don't think this is right. This is not something that is right. This is They're human too. Just because it's their skin color and look shady or whatever does not mean it's right. It's crazy.
Because I think it's also important to sort of acknowledge the issue that, like, there's bad people on both sides of the spectrum. So there's very easily people that could be doing, like, drug dealing, people that could be relatively unsafe, like people that you could be afraid of that are black. But it's also the same thing where people that are white that have done the same thing, and people who are Chinese and people who are Korean. Like, it doesn't matter because there are shady people out there. And I think that's something you have to acknowledge, but you shouldn't judge someone based on their skin color because that doesn't immediately define them as being like a certain, like looking or a certain way or behaving a certain way, because you're going to find shady people or like people that are just more like not as trustworthy, like on all sides of the spectrum. Doesn't really matter what your race is. So I feel like that's an important thing to acknowledge.
Yes. But this book is just so amazing. If like, Sarah, you need to read this book. I see you're the only one like typing in, but you need to read this book. I'm just pointing out her because she mentioned it. But this book was so amazing. It was, I can't put it into words how amazing it was and phenomenal, and it was crazy.
Yeah. And it's one of those stories that I feel like was really important and really need to be told, because there really wasn't a lot of white novels out there about the Black Lives Matter movement that discuss this type of subject matter. And I think that's one of the reasons why this book was so successful, is because it was the first of its kind out there to really talk about this issue in a time period where it's really prevalent. And so a whole bunch of teenagers are reading this and we're able to get a better understanding of the culture that, you know, we're living in, because you're watching on the news these protests and these things happening. So to get to see from a genuine like perspective of what it's like to like live through that sort of thing, because compared to like our parents' generation and grandparents, they could have a completely different perspective on the issue because of the way that they were raised. So I feel like us as a younger generation are definitely a lot more progressive, and we're having these sort of discussions and we're being more open to accepting people of all kinds. And I think that's a really important thing. So I think that this book being put out there.
Yeah, and like through books and like TV shows, you get to open up the eyes of younger generations and like things that are important. So I'm so happy that Angie Thomas wrote this book, because through books like and TV shows and movies, you get to show important subject matters. And just real quick, the books that focus on the Black Lives Matter movement. There is another book that was like a best-selling, and it was written by two people. Don't have it on me or near me because I have a pile of books everywhere, but it was All American Boys by Jason Reynolds and someone Kelly, and it's co-written by like a Black author and a white author. And I thought it was amazing because you see this guy gets beat up by a police officer. I didn't finish this book yet, but I started it. That guy gets beat up by this police officer because he's accused of stealing a bag of chips, but he wasn't. And so you see the two perspective from this white guy and the perspective black guy that was beat up. And it is a very interesting book, and I love how it's co-written by two different people, like who will be on two different sides. And I can't wait to finish it. I plan to read it this month, but it was I'm in love with it already.
Yeah. Oh, so we have another viewer that joined us. So if you guys want to ask last minute questions, or you have any like things you want to ask, I think you can go for a little bit longer, but I want you guys to get questions in and be able to really get to fully discuss the book, because we talked a lot about it within an hour. So let's go. I'm trying to figure out, oh, one of the other things I thought was funny that I liked about the book that I wanted to mention is Star's family and like the traditions that they have, like watching basketball together. Yeah. I feel like I just butchered that word, basketball. And like how she won't eat dairy when she's watching a basketball game, and like the teams that they root for, and how they're watching that game. And then isn't that when they have the brick that's thrown through the window and there's like bullets, and it's like this whole big thing because that's the day before the trial, because Star goes on, like, isn't it national television or like a local television station, and is talking about the trial. And so she technically outs King, and because of that, you know, she could have repercussions because of like gangs, the way that things work. And so that ends up happening. And I feel like that was really powerful too, like her making that decision, knowing the repercussions that could possibly come with it. And also Star having to watch her father I'm just like, now I'm suddenly starting to have all these moments where I'm remembering things. Star having to watch her father be like, officer. That was so powerful. And I feel like it really shows you what it's like to be like an African American, like some of the things that happen to them and the things that they have to see and experience because of their skin color and the natural distrust of their people. I feel like it was really important. And I think it really just it really communicated a larger message. And I feel like that was just something I wasn't expecting to see at all, but I feel like it was really important. And I feel like definitely a huge part of the story.
Yeah. And then like a little bit later to jail to Devontae, and it's like the moment I realized like I was thrown in jail, I refused to see Star or Seven because I didn't want them to see me at this low point. And that was that whole like situation and how he got his act cleaned up. That was crazy. And what you say?
Yeah, at first I wasn't sure about him when I found out about that, because I thought he was kind of shady, but then you find out the background behind it and why he did what he did.
Yeah.
It gives you like a more of an appreciation for his character, and you feel like you start to side, you know, with this character a little bit more, and you sort of see past some of the initial doubts you may have had.
Yeah, this Hufflepuff side.
Yeah.
But then what's I forget the barber's name, but like how you in this neighborhood or like stuff will happen to you, and it's crazy. It's just it's so different. Like this is it's a different world.
Yeah, and I think
it's a different world.
Point is reading it like as whites, like you just look at it and you're like, this is unfathomable. Like I could never imagine seeing my dad being pat down by a police officer, because a lot of his friends are police officers. He knows people that are in law enforcement, like people that he grew up with and has known like his entire childhood. So I feel like I could just never imagine that or even fathom that, but that's something that's a reality for these people and something they've experienced and feels normal, and it shouldn't be. And I feel like that's a really big message that Angie Thomas is sending. And so I think that was a really huge thing to include in the book.
Election now, like, and the way America is, like, I'm not saying this is limited to America, but just the way America is right now, like how we refuse to help these communities for the thing. Like, if we can help these communities, like, so, like, I'm not trying to shade them or anything, but, like, if we somehow, like, because there are people in there not part of your gang, not drug dealing, and just want to get out. They only could live there because that's how much they can afford. And so if we can help people get out of there, like, there will be less, there are probably less people in gangs, and if we just help them a little bit, you know?
Yeah. And I mean, like, I feel like there's only a thing too, is like there's only so much the government can do, but I feel like they can make the attempt and be able to try to, you know, work things out too, because I mean, a lot of these people like Star and her family are stuck in that situation. They can't really leave. There's a lot of families too. Khalil's family himself is in that situation too, where they can't really leave. And so you have people who are in dangerous neighborhoods that have to deal with these sorts of things, and they're not even like, they're not dangerous, but they're seen as that way because the neighborhood is, you know, dangerous, which is some of the things that Sarah was sort of talking about in the comments. So I think that that's important too, to be able to try to get some system, like helping people like rooting out the danger. And
if you were in the book in Star's school, how would you react to everything? Well, okay, for the protest part, if I would have heard it's just a reason to get out of, I think I'd probably one of the people that started the protest, not just to get out of the class, but as a meaningful thing, like a hairbrush is not a gun. Like, I wouldn't be just doing it to get out of class, but I would be doing it because this is something this is something that needs to be spoken up about.
Yeah.
Like,
I feel like for me, because like knowing the nature of the protest in the book, I feel like I possibly wouldn't participate because like, I feel like it would be better, just in my opinion. Like, yes, I do want to speak out about it, but I feel like it's better to do it in a non-school format rather than just using it as an excuse, because I feel like nothing good could come from that. I feel like there's other ways to speak out about it and other ways to handle that sort of issue than in a school setting. So I feel like I possibly wouldn't participate because, you know, having my channel, like I can talk about it outside of school. I feel more comfortable doing that than doing that in an in-school setting. So I wouldn't do that. And also because just like the way I know teenagers are, just like a lot of that like group stuff just is not my thing because I'm more of an independent person. So I feel like naturally, like because of that, I just wouldn't, you know, want to about that. But like reacting to the entire like subject matter in general, like hearing about Khalil's shooting, you see so much of it on the news. And so sometimes it can be very like draining or very depressing because you're seeing so much of it and you see all these protests and eventually, you know, it starts to become like, in a way, draining because it's happening all the time. But I feel like that's something where, if anything, it should make you more alert than drained. Because I know there's a lot of people that feel that way, that just like one shooting after another, after another, after another. And living in Chicago, in the city that I do, like we're huge for violence in that area or in that like demographic or that respect. And so I'd see a lot of it on my local news. And it's definitely something where, you know, it's a wake up call showing like that these things are happening and that there's not really a lot that's being done about it because it's consistently increasing. And I feel like they're having so many issues like with gun laws and gun control that like that's just all a hot mess and there isn't a lot that's being done and that's effective like on either, you know, side of the spectrum. And it's just a mess. And so I feel like it's hard to sort of figure out like where do you stand when there's so many different cases, and I feel like every situation is different. And I think that you definitely have to like look at it, and you have to know the evidence, and you have to know like what really happened and be able to look at something from an unfiltered perspective before you can sort of make decisions, before you react. But in the case of the book, I feel like if I were friends with Starla, like I would want to talk to her. I would want her to feel open with me. You know, if she didn't want to talk, like I would want to be able to be there for her character and be able to try to be like Chris in a way, just be able to be supportive of Maya.
Minute questions, because I think we should maybe like start wrapping it up now. I feel like our discussion's coming to a close.
So if you want to send in like any last minute questions, we can wrap up at like 8:20. Like give it like about 5 more minutes.
Agree.
So was there anything about the book that maybe
this book?
The book itself, I feel like, was phenomenal, and I feel like, again, with the subject matter that it deals with, and
I can't put it into I just can't put it into words. Like, I talked about this, and I had so many thoughts and opinions, and I just couldn't form words, because like it was such a moving, empowering, different perspectives of this, and so many like different reactions, and it's just overall an amazing book.
Yeah, to sort of, I feel like, best encapsulate all of our thoughts. Reading the last paragraph of the summary in the inside of the hardcover, it says, Angie Thomas's series debut about an ordinary girl in extraordinary circumstances addresses issues of racism and political violence with intelligence, heart, and unflinching honesty. I feel like that could not be more accurate. And I feel like that statement itself is just very powerful. And it really encapsulating this book and everything that it's about. And I'm so glad that I got the opportunity to read it. So I think that that is about most. I just recently finished reading it because I'm reading it for Teen Reads. I have a internship-ish thing there where I'm on the board, and so I have companies that get to like send me books each month, and I review for them. So this is the book that I'm reviewing for Teen Reads for September, and it is our September Diversity Readers Book Club Pick of the Month, and it is They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera. This book is phenomenal, guys. I read it and I sobbed, and I am so incredibly pumped to get to discuss it with all of you. We have our live show day set already, so I'm going to quickly find it for you because I believe that it's October 13th.
Possibly. It is the 14th, I think. No,
the 14th is the Saturday.
No, not the 14th.
Because so I think we said the 13th.
Yes, the 13th. And I know Molly's probably going to be joining us as well as Tatum. So there's going to be a bunch more of us. Eastern Standard Time, like a normal time. The time may change.
Yeah, it kind of depends. But I think there's definitely be a lot more of us here than there's been in the past, which is really exciting. I'm going to be at Adam Silvera's tour stop at Anderson's in the beginning of October, so I'm going to get to meet him before we discuss this live show. I've been meeting a lot of the authors that we've been reading for Diversity Lab, which is really cool. But thankfully enough, because I have a wonderful independent bookstore that books amazing authors. But this book is great. Go and pick it up and buy it. It debuted number 5 on the New York Times bestseller list, which is amazing. And I'm really happy about that. I know that all of us are lovers of Adam Silvera over here at Diversity Live, so I'm really excited to get to discuss this book with you guys. It is so powerful.
It's beautiful.
I have all the feels. It's spectacular, and I know that all of you guys are really going to enjoy it, and you're going to come and you're going to discuss it with us. It's going to be absolutely amazing. So read this book, finish it by October 13th, 8 p.m. Eastern is when we're having our live show. You can join and discuss, and more details will be coming, but definitely make sure that you join us because this is going to be a lot of fun to discuss. I already have so many thoughts and opinions brewing, so I'm excited. But I think that about wraps it up. So thank you guys so much for watching and discussing The Hate You Give. This book was phenomenal, and I'm so glad that we got the opportunity to read it and discuss it with all of you. And thank you for those of you that watched and sent in questions. This was an amazing discussion and such a really, really important book. I'm glad that we got the opportunity to pick it up and discuss it with all of you. So thank you so much for joining us. I hope you have an amazing weekend, an amazing fall, that if you're going back to school, that's all going good for you. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in October to discuss They Both Die at the End. Oh, that's not facing the right way. Hey.
Bye.
Okay. Bye, guys.